Welcome to an edition of Two Year Olds in Training. I'm Harold Howe for the Harness Edge with John Bax in Campbellville. John, we've got 8 of them here. This is the A team that you wintered with, according to your son Matt, who never got the chance to go down, but we won't go there. Let's start out with Tusk. This is a Holiday Road filly out of pure ivory. A lot of people would remember. Steve Stewart bred this filly. 4th foal of pure ivory. It made shouting distance of $1.5 million. Hasn't clicked though on the production yet, but still, you obviously like this filly enough to give $50,000 at Harrisburg.
Yeah, it was Ontario breds were at a premium, and so I think I likely paid the most for Holiday Road anybody has. But, like the filly, she's very quick, a little flighty, but I think the motor's there. It'll just be a mental part, getting through that.
With her, we have Cadabra. This is a Cadabra filly out of Gramola's Image, and $70,000 in Harrisburg. Doug Millard bred her. Full sister, you know very well. Juanita's Fury only made $400,000 for you. Where are we today?
Well, she was a little bigger model. Maybe was the most correct Cadabra that I saw at the sale, and a lot like her sister, she just goes what she has to go. Like when Juanita's Fury came out of Florida, I didn't think a whole lot of her, and we put her behind the gate, and away she went. So I'm hoping for the same with this filly. I say she's a little bigger model.
Juanita's Fury was not the second coming. Few of them are, but if you can come up with one that makes 400 every year, you'd think you're pretty clever getting something like her.
Yeah, a lot of it's to do with the soundness. I mean, they're good. She was a very good gaited filly, and wasn't hard on herself in between races or during the race even. So those kind of horses, if you're a little careful with them, they can grind out a little money for you.
This second set was an interesting story behind them. Let's start with the Magic Carpet Glide. This is $175,000 filly in Lexington. Cadabra. Stan Klemensic was the breeder. And this is the first foal from a half-sister to Ron Burke's good 2-year-old last year, What the Hill, who won $335,000. Tell us about this situation.
Yeah, I got a phone call from Leonard Arjen, who's the big Swedish owner, and he was looking for a Canadian who was in Florida. And I think part of the reason for that is they want to come to Florida to visit and have an excuse. So I fit the bill, I guess, and so they arrived. Bob Stewart ended up breaking them for me in Kentucky because they were at Lexington sale, and so Bob did all the work on them, sent them down to me, and told me they were great. So
and you're going to get all the glory.
That's the way it's supposed to work. But she's a great gaited filly. I'm going to say that maybe she'll come along later than when she fills out. I mean, she's got the frame. So, but does it real easy.
And with her stablemate, Magical Lady, a little more streamlined, cheap, only $150 at Lexington. Another Cadabra. Brittany Fires bred this filly, and she's a half-sister to Sunshine Delight, who you had a chance to see last winter when Stefan Lynn developed her. And of course, Second Dam's Passionate Glide with 2.1, so lots of pedigree here.
Yeah, you hope that when they get down to 2 minutes that the pedigree will kick in, but her conformation isn't. Her hocks aren't that pretty, so I'm going to have to be awful careful with her. And but she can do it. I'm just a little bit nervous of her hocks, but shows me step.
Okay. A different breed altogether here now. Credit Winner, all over again. This was bred by Fairwinds Farm, full sister to Jarnbro, made $1.1 million, $50,000 out of Harrisburg. I kind of like this filly, which means she's probably not worth a cracker. But what do you think?
Well, the Credit Winners are always pretty, but this is one Jim Bullock found, and she was standing on 3 legs at the sale, had an abscess in her foot, and like Jim looked at it and said, this is a great pedigree for broodmare down the road, and actually about a week later that foot come good, and she does it right. Again, she's another one that maybe has to fill into herself, but nice stride on her, and who knows what she could become.
Now, training with her is one who's been a bit of a test of character. Chief Justice, he's a Justice Hall. Jim Averett was the breeder. Full sister to a horse some people might not know, Lady Justice, who won $53,000 last year for Wayne Henry, even though she never won a race. With Chief Justice, she had to step out $50,000 in Harrisburg, and he's a bit of a handful.
Well, he's a stud, and Robert Lindstrom from Sweden, he has a bunch of people in on this one as partnership, and they love stallions over there, and I haven't been able to convince him yet to geld him. He's not that bad, but he doesn't pay attention, but he's got a great turn of speed. He's a June foal, and when he drops his rear end in the stretch, he can go for a piece, but his manners aren't the greatest. So, he could be. I look at him being maybe a top grass rooter.
Last set, Miss Mimi. This is a Cadabra out of Hambleton and Oaks, winning Creamy Mimi. Marvin Katz and Al Libfeld bred her, own her. She's a half sister to French Laundry. And your thoughts on her?
Well, for a Cadabra, she's really racy looking. Got a little attitude to her, and or like her mother, I guess. And I'm pretty high on her. She's, she wants to do it. She's hopefully she's not too hard on herself when she gets to racing, because when she sees somebody ahead of her, she'll run them down.
And training with her is a horse who didn't escape the knife, Union Jack. Cadabra, Mel Hartman is the breeder. First foal from a half-sister to the dam of Ariana G. Of course, everybody knows last year, $800,000. Had to step up $70,000 in Lexington, and how do you feel?
Well, he was the last Cadabra in the sale, actually, in Lexington. He was the one I liked the best, so I had a real hard time sitting on my hands waiting. And I don't want to jinx him, but I think he's a real deal. He's been good right from day one. Once we gelded him, he was all business, and if he doesn't, as long as he doesn't get injured somewhere along the line, I think he'll be heard from this year.
Certainly can see on the video he was able to slide along pretty nice, but you had said you had just a hope he wasn't going to get too heavy.
Yeah, that's the tendency with Cadabras. They can get a little heavy, especially up front, and so that's always a concern. But I'm hoping that if I handle him right, he can get through all those races, and because for sure the talent's there.
In terms of dollars and cents, the group you've got, probably the most expensive group, which that and $1.50 will get you a Tim Hortons coffee, but it's not going to get any easier this fall going to the yearling sales, because there's no more yearlings. Ontario is sired, which you focus on, obviously. It's going to be a wrestling match again.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll ever I don't think we'll ever get back to the numbers that there used to be, but the problem is it doesn't matter how much you pay for them; they still have to make you the money, and it's you go to the races, and only one horse wins those big races. So I think there will be a little correction at some point. You can't pay $70,000 for a grass rooter, and but hey, good for the breeders. It's a supply and demand game, and they took it on the chin for years, so it's their turn to get something out of it.
John, thanks for your time, and good luck in the weeks ahead.
All right, thanks, Harold.
Harold Howe with John Bax, 2-year-olds in training.